What's up, guys? How's it going? It's Matt here. So we're going to be talking about some more marksmanship stuff this week. So I figured I'd do a little kind of a myth-busting type of deal this week. It started with, I was talking about the grip and the evolution of pistols the other day on Monday about, how, the thumbs forward method versus the one-handed method and stuff like that, and how marksmanship's changed throughout the years. But another thing that I wanted to bring up today, which I think I see this a lot, I see this a lot, and it's kind of one of the funny things that I always see, and I think it's kind of ridiculous personally. But red dots, all right, red dots and special optics on your pistols. Now, there's a time and a place for it, absolutely. Competition, stuff like that. There's a time and a place for optics, hunting. If you want a revolver, big old revolver you're taking out going hunting, you might want an optic on it so you can see your target a little bit better. But the thing that kind of makes fun, that's funny to me, is when people specifically go out to look for red dots like Romeos on their pistols for one reason only, and that is to shoot better. That's what their whole option is. That I'm doing it to shoot better. Now, why I find this kind of funny is because the people that I've known that actually come and actually look for the RMRs and stuff like that, the Romeos and stuff like that, they want a pistol with a cut on it, which, no big deal. If you want it, go for it. It's up to you. But the thing is they'll talk about how they have a hard time hitting the target with iron sights. All right. Well, I'm just having a hard time hitting the target with iron sights, and I'm throwing it low and to the left or a little bit over, and it's just not very consistent. So I was watching this video, and this guy was talking about this one optic. Do you have this optic in stock? It's like, sure, we have this optic in stock. And what'll happen is they want that optic for one reason alone, and that reason is to hit the target, because they think since they can't hit the target with iron sights, that you put an optic on the sight, like a red dot on the sight, it makes it easier to hit the target and makes your marksmanship better, which is a big false, okay? Big, very, very, very big false. It's almost just like, what do they call it? The handicap, all right? The handicap, I'm not talking about handicap person, but like for different sports and stuff like that, they call something handicap. It's kind of like their little thing. It'll make it better, make them better when they're shooting, and they use it, and just by simply putting on there, all of a sudden they're going to be some sort of tactical marksmanship operator, can hit targets with their Glock 19 or 320 or whatever it is, 229 at 100 yards without a problem because they got a red dot on it, and that is not the case, okay? When it comes to hitting the target, you need to learn on iron sights, okay? The reason you learn on iron sights because that teaches you fundamentals. You're learning fundamentals, okay? Which is basically being able to squeeze the trigger without moving that front sight tip, and without slapping the trigger, without jerking the trigger, learning how to shoot from reset, learning to move or be able to squeeze that trigger without that front sight moving back and forth so you actually hit the target. Learning how to have a good grip so you're not hitting the damn ground in front of it, so when your follow shots come out, they come right back down on target, and you can hit the target easily with your follow-up shot. Marksmanship is what determines how well you can hit the target or not, and you need to learn that in iron sights. Now, another thing that I see too, when it comes to rifles and stuff like that too, people will go out and they'll do the same thing. They'll go out and they'll buy a brand new AR, all right, and usually they don't come with pop-up sights, and they just put an optic on it. 100%. I'm just going to throw an optic on it, and it's good to go, and that's going to work, and I'm going to learn to use this optic, I'm going to shoot it, yet they have no backup iron sights. Now, I'm kind of against this a little bit here because technology is great until it fails, and pretty much all the time technology fails all the time. So if you put an optic on a rifle that doesn't have a backup option when you're actually shooting, and when it comes to marksmanship, like the peephole in the front sight, then guess what? You're going to be missing the target, and if that technology goes down, you're not going to be able to hit the target. And then how are you going to do it? You're just going to look through a freaking, tinted glass and, hope you hit the target, basically bore sighting it. You have to use iron sights. You have to learn how to iron sights. Now, here's the thing that I find kind of funny. So these people, I've seen it at the ranges too. They're all about the tactical. They kind of address the tactical part and all that other stuff too. Is they show up at the range and they want to learn and they want to shoot cool just like all these other people. So they're carrying their guns, they have their Romeos on it, RMRs, whatever they have on it, and they're getting ready to shoot. They have these crazy stances and stuff like that, and they're shooting, and for some reason they're just recoils going crazy because they have a shitty grip. They don't have the thumbs forward method or stuff like that, so they're not holding the gun well, so it has bad recoil management. So a 9mm looks like a 45. The rounds that they're shooting at the targets are all over the place, okay? There's no grouping. There's no grouping. It's either, sometimes you're even hitting the ground because they're anticipating the shot a lot. And sometimes you don't know what the heck's going on. It's like, where are you hitting? Where are you hitting? And what they think is they think that if they use that optic, that is going to change, because now they got a red dot they can look at, and they don't have to worry about the front sights and stuff like that. And wherever they point the red dots, it's kind of like this misconception. Wherever you point the red dot on the pistol, whether it's good or not, you're going to hit the target. And I've heard that many times. Here's the thing. Does the red dot help you pick up targets fast? Absolutely. But the problem is if you squeeze that trigger, all right, if you squeeze that trigger when that red dot is on it and you're still slapping the trigger and doing all the other stuff, guess what? It's not going to go where the dot goes. It's still going to go to the left. And if you're slapping the trigger, you have bad recoil management, you don't know how to hold the grip properly, you're going to be all over the paper, because guess what? You don't have marksmanship. So before you go out and get yourself an optic, you need to learn how to use marksmanship and learn how to hit the target with iron sights. Now, I'm 100% for optics that people have been shooting for a long period of time and say they're in competition or they're getting older and it's just easier for them to see stuff. But the thing is they know how to shoot prior to actually getting the optic on. You know, you can't just go out and get a gun and say, oh, okay, I've never taken any training, I'm not in any formal classes or anything like that, and I'm just going to go out and shoot. I've learned all my stuff on YouTube. You know, YouTube taught me how to shoot, so I'm going to go out there and I'm going to shoot from what I learned at YouTube, and I'm going to use the Romeo or the RMR or whatever it is that they have, their optic on it. They're going to go out and use that, and guess what? They can't shoot worth a damn, because they need to learn marksmanship before they can actually hit the target. Now, another note, I want to talk about this when it comes to rifles, okay? When it comes to rifles, a lot of people are always looking for like the top of the line optics, you know, these $5,000, $3,000 optics that have like, you know, windage adjustments, all this other stuff, and mil readings and stuff like that. When you have like a rifle and you're shooting out with an optic, that does not make you a better shot. Again, all right? Optics do not make you a better shot. When you have a magnifier, okay, when you have some sort of magnifier, an optic or something like that, what that does is it helps you see the target better, okay? That's all it does. It helps you see the target better. But if you don't have that crosshairs completely centered, or whatever the optic or whatever the reticle is on it, you don't have it completely centered and you don't see the equal amount of rounded around the other side and it's a little off or whatever, you're going to be throwing your rounds. If you're slapping the trigger while you're looking through an optic, guess what? You're still going to be freaking low and to the left or low and to the right. If you're putting too much meat on the trigger, it's going to go too far to the right. If you are just doing the follow through, that means every time you shoot, you're looking up, you're looking up, then you're going to be all over the place again. An optic is good for one thing and one thing alone when it comes to magnifier optics: seeing the target better. Now, when you get older, when people get older, it's harder to see the target. So absolutely, they need an optic just so they can see the target, and whether it's they have glasses or not, so they can hit the target, basically, so they could see what they're shooting at. But here it is if they don't have good fundamentals, regardless of the high-speed optic or whatever it is, they're not going to hit the target. You know, I've seen people with all these fancy optics that have, like, you know, reticles that light up and stuff like that on that, and they're shooting, and they're all right, you know, they're all right, where I see some dude with a plain Jane old school freaking optic with just the old, you know, metal crosshairs inside of it, and they're hitting the target nonstop. It has nothing to do with the rifle. It has everything to do with the person behind the rifle and the person shooting the rifle. So before you go and start getting yourself optics and trying to learn how to use optics and try to be a high-speed operator with all your fancy optics, red dots, you know, EOTechs, whatever it is that you're using, learn how to use iron sights, all right? You know, when it comes to me, I don't even use optics. The only time I have an optic is on my hunting rifle, and it's a hunting rifle, all right? So I want to see the target that's farther away. That's the reason I have an optic on it. Personally, I like iron sights. I really do like iron sights, because that, if you know how to shoot with the iron sights, your marksmanship is going to be good. If you get good marksmanship with the iron sights, your marksmanship is going to be good. You know, in the Marine Corps, you have to qualify at 100, 200, 300, and 500. And in my time, they didn't have ACOGs that they were using. They were using iron sights. M16A2, I had to use an iron sight, and I had to reach out to 500 yards. And I remember doing it is you have this tight-ass loop sling around your arm, so your arm's completely numb. You're laying down the prone at 500 yards. You've made the wind calls and stuff like that. You're paying attention to the fundamentals. You squeeze the trigger, and I was getting throat shots at 500 yards away with iron sights. So a lot of people will tell you you need an optic to be able to reach out and actually hit things. You don't. All right? I've seen people do 1,000-yard shots with their rifles. Like Marine Corps competition team, when I was actually towards the end of it, they had these heavy-duty rifles. I mean, these rifles were basically M16s. They were chrome, and they're literally like 20 pounds each. Each one of them were chrome. It was like chrome. The peep sight was about that fat. I mean, if you're looking this way through that way, it's probably about that fat. There's a long, long peep sight. It's designed for 1,000-yard shots. And guess what that team was using? Were they using optics? No. They're using iron sights, hitting targets 1,000 yards away. Do you need good eyes for that? Yeah, you need good eyes. You need a good point of view in order to do that. But it can be done. Jerry Mitchell, he did, what was it, a 1,000-yard shot with a 9mm revolver, I think it was. Yeah, you can do it. What determines whether or not you're going to hit the target or not isn't about the fancy optics you use. It's not about the new high-speed grip that's out there. It's not about all the attachments that you put onto your gun. What determines whether or not you can hit the target or not is you and your marksmanship. So if you want to use an optic, absolutely go use an optic, but you have to have marksmanship. Otherwise, even with a fancy optic, you're not going to hit shit. All right, you're not. You need to have marksmanship before you can hit the targets. Anyway, guys, I just hope that helps the people out. So if you like this video, guys, like, share, subscribe. Tell your friends about me, guys, and remember, it's our responsibility to take care of each other and protect each other. Peace.